And that's usually from the security station over to the filing station clerk's office back up over there, about maybe 5 or 6 feet away from the security station, and then back out. But wherever I go, I had to be under security escort, and still never no reason was given. And so I filed a motion stating that, well, hey, if no legitimate reason has been given, or you refuse to give reasons for doing so, what to me is another form of harassment, discrimination. Why? What? I mean, why? I mean, even common criminals have their rights to at least explain to them why they've been put in jail or why this action has been taken against them. You know, even common criminals have that right. But me, oh no, they don't say nothing to me about, oh, well, you just assigned the security escort. Why? Oh, well, because we want you to have security escort. Still have given me no reason why whatsoever. And whatever the reason is, I know it has nothing to do with any past problems, histories, run-in with the law, or any of that. None whatsoever. Have never given any indication that I'm going to act like some crazy person, or even never. But yet they still never give me any reason, but every time I come in there. So, however, again, back on the courts, dealing with the fraud. This judge never should have been on there. And the reason why I was suing Lamar's and them around up over here, they did the artwork, we applied. Matter of fact, this right here, what you see, that was going to be a great big billboard. Lamar's and them designed this here. We took time. We went through with the contract and everything. And the only thing, the contract, we just needed one signature left to put on there, and that was the general manager. We had everything signed and lined up, the date and everything was timed. They was paid, everything. But unfortunately, when it come time to put it up on there, despite them having it for a little while to do all the paperwork and the artwork and drawing up the contracts and everything, but in order to enforce the contract, well, it just needed that one signature put on there, and that's where this particular general manager, it just needed his signature. Mine was on there. The other young lady, who helped fix and design the artwork and everything, the contract, it just needed one more signature left. Well, he calls and tell me, well, corporate, saying that the information on the website wasn't 100% accurate and couldn't be proven to be accurate. Really? Now, y'all done had this for quite some time around here. Now when it comes time to post and put this out here, all of a sudden now you're talking about what corporate is saying they couldn't prove. Why wasn't this information shown or known earlier? Now, keep in mind, now corporate, they had the right anytime they wanted to just reject it if they went that route. But the clause is that corporate said, well, hey, unless you can prove, meaning by sending legal documents to prove that this here is legit, because I'm not going to be no foolish person out here sending information and stuff out against a multi-billion, trillion-dollar corporation just because I ain't got no sense of being foolish. That's defamation of character. Slander. You can be sued and held accountable for that. However, when I speak to corporate about it, I let him know that he was being recorded. He said that was okay. That was fine. That was okay and that was fine. Until I told him what the general manager had said about him and their group of teams of attorney, saying that, well, the information on the website wasn't accurate. It couldn't be proven. So that's why y'all declined it. Well, all of a sudden, his approval of me recording him changed. His whole demeanor, oh, well, Mr. Dupree, I'm not interested in you recording me anymore. This is what our policy says here, da-da-da-da-da. And then after that, well, I'm not going to speak to you anymore because you're recording me. Earlier, he wasn't talking like that. And I got the evidence to back up everything I'm saying, and I will back it up. And then after that I spake and called, and I left information and stuff and sent documentation up to him. And then when I addressed him, corporate of Lamar's, the new lawsuit, concerning General Mills, well, he didn't want to address it. He started being rude, being angry, started accusing me of harassing. And I mean, it's totally, his whole demeanor just changed. And when I continuously ask him, well, have you received my information? Have you received the information that you're talking about? He never addressed it that he did. He had never addressed it that, hey, well, yeah, we looked at, he never done anything. What he did, he hung up. That's what he did. And so, and his demeanor was very rude. He was very unprofessional. And I mean, hey, if he didn't want to have anything to do with this here, he should have just went on and say, hey, we're not interested in it, and be done with it. But no. I was informed that unless I can prove that the information on the website was accurate or proven that it is within laws and my rights to have it post, fine, we'll go that route, but you have to prove it. And when I did, I was treated like less than a person. So, anyway, the way he was talking, and when I said less than a person, in other words, I was not being respected. The way he got hollering and yelling and fussing. And then he hung up on me several times. So nevertheless, you know, that was very disrespectful. And he's telling me, well, hey, this here had to be determined in the court of law because there's a you say against they say. All this stuff coming out now. If y'all wasn't interested in doing that, well, you should have said this way up front and avoid all this here. They was paid in full. They all this go ahead and give me a few dollars back. But I'm just saying the principle behind this here. So, back on the fraud on the courts. When I filed suit against Lamar's and they moved it from the state court back over here to the federal courts, and this same judge had assigned himself, or either the courts assigned him, whatever it is, it was still a major conflict because this is the same judge that was involved in dealing with General Mills and my complaints and things against him. And yes, I had to file a complaint against him here again in this new lawsuit. The district court knows about it. The Court of Appeal knows about it because I appealed and talked in regarding my complaints and the issues and laws supporting my claim, which they come up with, whatever laws they come up with to contradict that, which regardless, however, and falls under the deprivation of rights under the color of law. And I even sent copies up there to the United States Supreme Court, which I'm still currently petitioning and sending up to the United States Supreme Court each month because they had closed my rehearing and my writ of certiorari. So the system and the court knows about the issue with this particular judge, and it's the same judge, the same one, and they're doing everything they can to protect. And the courts decided to close this case. They didn't let this particular judge do it. The courts did. They tried to keep him out of the way because I didn't file so many complaints against this judge. And the law is in my favor, and they know it's in my favor. So, since they apparently have the choice to either uphold the law and not to uphold the law, so they decide not to uphold the law, so they just figure, well, hey, don't worry about this particular judge. Well, the courts decide to dismiss this case and close it. So again, I would love for the American people to leave your views, your comments. What do you think about the prior judge being on the case here that you had to file complaints against up here in the disciplinary action up here in St. Louis of the higher up courts? And this is the same judge. When you file a new lawsuit, it's going to either sign himself or either the courts allow him to sign or sign on this same case, and it's still involving and dealing with General Mills. Major conflict of interest. And all of this was brought out. And repeatedly, I have been deprived. And I demand juror trial, that this will go before a juror, before the courts. We'll get up here, and I even filed motions and things here concerning, you see, void stamped on it. I filed so many motions in regards of recusing this judge off the case. The judge gave word to the court that, hey, if Dupree or the plaintiff Dupree come down here filing any more motions regarding recusing him off the case, just deny it, void it out. And that's exactly what they did. Void it. You see what it says right there. Yeah. And we're talking about here in 2015, 2016. See, legal document. I even found this motion here. It was February 16th of 2016. Motion strongly in opposition against the practice of fraud on the court and violation of civil and constitutional rights, 14th Amendment rights, due process of law, right to a juror trial, fraudulently depriving rights behind the color of law and dismissing case. Well, they didn't let the judge dismiss this case. The courts decide to dismiss it. And the opposing counsel for Lamar's, all is involved in it. So, however, I would like to have the American people to give your comments, your views, and what you think about this here. Should a judge remain or should have been allowed to be on this case here that I had to file a complaint in previous lawsuit against General Mills, which he fraudulently lied, withheld information, refused to send all information up to the higher up court? Be allowed to be on this here case, and the courts allowing this to go on despite what the Supreme Court rules says that they should have been off of it, and uphold the due process clause, and by not doing so, well, there's in strictly violation of U.S. Constitution, which obviously means you're right. So, anyway, this is where it's at right now. And so I want to bring this to the American people's attention, how not only am I battling and fighting for my civil and constitutional rights because of what General Mills and the union them doing, now it's against what the judges and courts and things are doing up here in the judicial system, which General Mills is behind all. I cannot overlook that. General Mills is behind all this. General Mills has been allowed to use our judicial court system and certain lawyers and judges, not all of them, and there are some good judges. I just be glad when I be blessed to come across one. But however, General Mills is behind all this here because it's all in this case here is involved in dealing with General Mills. And just like I said here, mentioned about General Mills here. And what I got here, General Mills, racial discrimination and conspiracy. Get the whole story. And the conspiracy is not only just involving the settlement of full release fraud deceit, it is also involving the conspiracy behind the color of law and behind the walls of the courts, and how that General Mills has a lot of influence with certain lawyers and judges and even chief judges in our judicial system to allow this type of conspiracy and fraud on the court to be practiced behind the scenes. Of course, they're not going to get out here and just advertise this here openly. So, since I have been perpetually deprived of my rights, and obviously it appears that I'm not going to get my rights upheld in the court, well, at least I want this to be known to how I am being treated behind the walls of the court. And I have evidence to back everything up I'm saying, and including the United States Supreme Court. Because they denied me as well. And the same judge is also in dockets and in my briefs, and my written certiorari and rehearing. All this information is up in there. Way before I came across Lamar's, though. So anyway, they know. But yet, I've been perpetually deprived and denied. So, however, I would like for the American peoples to leave their comments and tell me what do they feel and what they think about this here. And however, through the grace of God, I am still going to take legal action in this matter. Yeah, and again, I'm Robert C. Dupree, and I just want to bring to the American people's attention, and I want you all to hear for yourself the recorded conversations, and these recorded conversations are exhibits and documents in the courts. So it's not something that I'm just, recording without their knowledge or consent. And you would even hear from Corporate how that earlier when I was recording him, he was saying it was fine, everything was legit and good, until I started telling him what General Manager had stated pertaining to what they had informed him. Corporate is referring to, they I'm referring to, that the information on the website weren't accurate, it couldn't be proven. And then he's alleging that there was a you say against they say and all this other kind of foolishness. So nevertheless, I want you to hear, because there was two conversations, and when I brought it to his attention what the General Manager has stated, well, then all of a sudden his whole demeanor changed regarding being recorded, and hurry up and got off the phone. And when I was trying to continue to ask him questions, well, he hung up. And on the second conversation, he really was being very disrespectful and very unprofessional and very, arrogant and forward. And his conversation, when I was continuously asking him, have you received my information concerning to prove that the information on the website were accurate? Have you received this here? Well, he refused to answer it. and he's been very, very rude, and eventually hung up after accusing me of harassing him or harassing the company or whatever it is, and not to do so. So anyway, I want the American people to hear this for yourself, and just, judge for yourself and see what he has to say on this here matter and how I have been treated, because I'm asking him, corporate, have you received the information that they stated earlier that, in order for me to continue to go on through with this website or whatever it is, I mean, for us posting my website on their billboard, well, you have to prove that the information is accurate. But at this legend, they was talking as if it weren't.